Abbey Cone. I am based out of Nashville, Tennessee, but I am originally from Texas. I'm 25. I turn 26 in September. So I've been alive for 25 years as a person. I moved to Nashville when I was 16 and got a publishing deal. I started writing songs when I was 12, so I started singing when I was 6. So I really have been doing music pretty much my entire life and have been thinking about my future in music and my career since a really young age. But yeah, I moved here when I was 16, and then I signed my first record deal when I was 20, 2 months before the pandemic happened. And then the pandemic happened, and I had a project all ready to go and wasn't able to put that project out at the time because of a lot of reasons, I think. The pandemic, the record label, the whole thing. And so I fought that for a long time and finally was able to get that music out in April of 2022. And as a person during all of that, it was pretty rough and kind of traumatic, but also I grew a lot as a person too. It was like the first time I feel like I've really experienced, and this is like before that, I don't feel like I had experienced a lot of adversity in my life until that experience, but I think like adversity forces someone to grow and become something different. And so I definitely grew through that experience, and I'm really grateful for it, actually. I mean, there's like, it was traumatic and, hard, but I am ultimately grateful for it. So I was able to get out of that record deal in the beginning of 2023 or the end of 2022, and I've been an independent artist since then and putting out music independently since then, which has, as a human, kind of given me a sense of like creativity and freedom again. So that like, struggling inside of a record deal was changing me as a person, and now being an independent artist and not being stuck in that system is also changing me as a person. So that's kind of like, I think that is what I think that my career, it's career because like I'm trying to make money doing it, but it's like I'm just an artist, like I'm a creative person. And so I feel like whatever the trajectory of my career ultimately kind of like determines my evolution as a person too. So they're all kind of like both are kind of going together in my evolution as a person and as an artist. But that's where I'm at now.
Bright-eyed with brand new strings on my guitar.
Coming from Texas and moving to Nashville has been interesting because I feel like when I first moved here, which was probably in 2014-ish, I don't feel like I kind of know this. It was like there was still like a divide between being a Texas artist, because Texas is such a big state that like you literally have artists that don't even tour outside of Texas and have like whole ass careers and like make good money just being like a, Texas country radio is a whole ecosystem and a whole kind of like music industry in and of itself, Texas music. And I grew up listening to tons of like what would be considered Texas artists, Wade Bowen, Randy Rogers, Josh Abbott Band. And it was interesting back then because it's like if you had plans of going to Nashville and wanting to like do a more mainstream thing, you like didn't want to be labeled too much as a Texas artist, so that people so that you didn't get labeled that. But then there was also this feeling of like, if you went to Nashville, the possibility is there of being called like a sellout from like, the Texas music industry, which is so funny because labels are now opening like Texas branches of their labels. And so that has completely like gone now. which I just think is I ultimately think it's a good thing, but I feel like maybe if that would have been the case back then, I maybe would have stayed in Texas longer, and maybe not felt the pressure to get here so young. If I felt like I could keep building my own thing there and then come here, and it would just, no one would be mad at me either way. From like a sound perspective, you know, when I think of like what Texas country music is, it's like organic, rootsy, like music, you know, like I love a lot of what I grew up listening to, like Randy Rogers, all that stuff, like just good songs. So I don't feel like it's like that much different or has affected my sound that much, but it's probably definitely influenced it. It's like I definitely grew up listening to music that was originated in Texas.
And wait your turn, then you turn around and you feel the burn of being
I had literally
skipped in
thought
line.
about
Wish I had a
getting a
doubt
record
the
deal
river
since I was like 9 years old. And imagined like a very down the middle country music career for myself. I also think that's what the people around me wanted for me and from me as well. So, you know, as kids, I think we're very like, we're like sponges. So I think I've actually been thinking about this lately of like, where did this dream of mine come from? Was it mine? Was it the people around me? Like whose dream was this? And by like the dream being Carrie Underwood, you know what I mean? Like a country singer on the radio, you know, that kind of career. And I think, you know, that's what I grew up hearing is like you move to Nashville, you get a record deal, and they don't really talk about what's after that, you know? And so I think that I literally just woke up every day and was like, what do I need to do today to kind of like one foot in front of the other to get said record deal? And then, you know, that's how I thought from the time I was pretty much 9 to like 19, 20 is when I actually ended up getting the record deal. And then got the record deal, and then the pandemic happened, and it was like, I think this is not like a unique experience. I think most of the people that either had record deals or had signed record deals right before the pandemic experienced this. I think the specific label I was with too, like maybe was like extra, like the vibe was just like, we're gonna keep our big artists afloat, and we don't have the time or the space or anything to think about the artists we just signed, you know. Also, that record label was in the process of selling, which I didn't know. So the whole thing, I feel like I signed on to this giant thing that was like changing shape and form. And like, I mean, it sounds dramatic, but it's just like that was my dream, and then it just like fell the fuck apart, you know? And that was just like crushed me, you know, like I don't want to cry. But like, yeah, it was just like, oh no, this wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah, I feel like mainly what I'm thinking right now about like why that whole thing was so hard for me is because this is hard for me to like give myself this, but like I've sacrificed so much to do this, you know, like I didn't finish high school. I finished high school, but I was like online school the last 3 years. I moved here so young away from my family. Like I'm the older I get, the more I realize like how much I have sacrificed to do this. And so when that was happening, I was like, what is it all? What has it all been for? Because I think internally I had been like, how I was rationalizing doing this was like, okay, well, once I'm successful, then I'll be happy, then I'll have a bunch of friends, then I'll have money, then I've said this before in interviews, but like then my life starts. And that sounds really extreme, but like that's what was happening mentally inside of me the whole, has been happening internally to me, like my whole life, as I've been like doing this, but then telling myself like, okay, once I do it, then I'll be happy. And so yeah, that was just like rough. Then just like literally fighting to get my music out, trying to get these people that are supposed to be helping me to like help me, which ultimately ended up in like, which I'm really grateful for, like that label letting me go, because that doesn't happen a lot of the time. So yeah, like literally changed my whole life, changed my life. Like my life currently like feels like pre first record deal and post first record deal. And that sounds dramatic, but it's like my truth.
You're something I can't explain. You got an energy that moves me.
When I sat down with my manager, Amanda, I was like, who wasn't my manager at the time, I was out of my record deal. So this was at the beginning of 2023. And I was like, there has got to be a way for me to just like year by year increase my quality of life and make 10 more grand this year, 20 more grand this year. Like I have to be able to do that, right? And she's like, yeah, you can do that. And when you have a record deal, and like, I can say this because like this is my experience. It's like I made more money this year off of one song than I've made off of any of my music ever, because I owned the master. And like that just wouldn't have happened if I had a record deal. And like with where I'm at this point in my life, it's like making 30 grand off of a song like is literally life-changing to me. Because when you don't have a lot of money, that is like a lot of money, and like that's what is important to me right now, is like being able to have dreams and then tell my team of people those dreams and it not go into like an endless black hole that like never actually happens because that staff is too bogged down with their 30 other artists that they have, and like then I'm sitting there feeling like I'm the problem when it's really like the system that's the problem. So yeah, that's why I like being an independent artist right now and why I don't have any plans on not being. Well, building a team so far over the last year as an independent artist has been really fun because here I am talking about the label system again, but like and this is not, I'm like not talking shit about labels, this is just true, that like when you have a record deal, within that record label, they have marketing teams, graphic teams, PR teams, like all the teams are in-house. They're also serving, the same team is servicing every artist on that label. And so you don't get to pick. Whereas like when you're an independent artist, I can pick who I want to work with, and like I can work with, this PR person for a while, and then I can work with another PR person for a while, and you can change as you learn, which you don't get the luxury. Like that to me now is like a literal luxury, getting to learn and then make different decisions based on what you learned in that season. My independent team started with Amanda Quinton, who I've known for many years, but when I got out of my record deal and then also left my previous management company, I knew that I had learned enough about what it takes to just release music. I knew the things that I needed, which were like help with the digital marketing aspect of it, literally helping me distribute it through, I did DistroKid for the first year pretty much of being an independent artist, and so I knew kind of like what it took, but I still knew that I needed help. And Amanda had and has a digital company called Quentin Digital. And so I started there, just kind of using her services. And then we found out that we worked really well together. And I was like, oh, I think this is what a manager is supposed to be, which is honestly like, if anything from my past experiences, I've like learned what, this is so shady, but like in having people around me that like were not doing their jobs that they're supposed to be doing, I've learned the job that they're actually supposed to be doing that they just weren't doing at the time. So now I know what the job actually is supposed to be. And I learned that the hard way, but like I still learned it. So that's been great. Finding like an actual like person that's gonna get in the weeds with me and do that. So that's been cool. I am currently working with Missing Piece PR, which like honestly just I don't even care like who people have on their rosters. I don't care like how long they've have been doing this. I care about like if I feel like seen and heard, if I can be myself around them, if they get the music, if they are like passionate, if they go like, I don't care what you pay me right now, I'm just like down. I'm down to help you do this. You know, my hope is that I can pay everyone more than enough one day. That's not the case right now, but you know, people that'll just be like day ones with me is the goal. Which like, yeah, so I distributed through DistroKid for the first year, and then, you know, you start to need different things, and I started to like need and want not a record deal, but like what's in between that. It's like, oh, a distribution company, you know? And so then I had multiple options, but I chose to go with Downtown because I love the people so much, and it felt like I literally can like pick up the phone and call someone, and that's just, I've never had that before. And yeah, the feeling of owning my music is so lovely. I love that feeling. And so far, like, I just love my decision to go with Downtown versus like another distribution company. Like, I have no regrets so far, which is so lovely to just like make a decision and then like feel like it was the right decision. I love that. Yeah, the team's been amazing. I feel Jeanette at Downtown is literally making me believe again that an A&R is an actual job. I know that's like crazy to say, but like, I'm like, oh, this is a job. It's yeah, so I love Downtown. So I'm currently working on an EP that I'm gonna release this year. I have so many songs that I really like, and that I have enough songs for like 4 records. So like figuring out what to do with all those songs has been not hard, but just like I've just been figuring out how I want to present all these songs. And my song, If You Were a Song, which was the first song I released independently, did so well. It was so unexpected, but it did so well that it kind of like took me on this whole little kind of year-long journey, and I didn't really like have to, I was just kind of following up accordingly after that, you know. And I wrote this song called Talk of the Town, which was about my experience with the music industry, and I was like, that feels cool to put out following my first independent song that's doing really well. And then after that I was like, oh, I want to put out this song called Coffee With You because I just really like it. And so I've just been kind of like not really knowing what I'm doing, but releasing music as it felt right. And so, but now I really want to release like a body of work again. And it's not an album because I just don't feel ready to put out a full album yet. So I decided to do an EP. So I'm working on that. So I think it's going to be 8 songs. And I'm doing a photo shoot for that on Monday, which I'm so excited about. This is my first time that I've ever gotten to like plan everything, which is also the beauty of being an independent artist, is like there's no one, it's just like I get to do whatever I want to do and dream up whatever I want. And so that's giving me life. And yeah, I'm looking forward to releasing that and then just like moving on and making more music.